Trustee Berger.
Here.
Trustee Garvey.
Here.
Trustee Zalick.
Here.
Trustee Giesers.
Here.
Trustee Fruzzoloni.
Here.
Trustee McCarthy.
Here.
Mayor Savarino.
Here. Please stand and face the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I'd like to take, before we start, a moment of silence for Officer Dan Staffy that passed away about a week ago. So if we could just, in your own way, say a prayer for him and his family. Thank you. Is there a motion to approve the minutes of our February 6, 2023 Village Board meeting?
So moved.
Second.
Moved by trustee McCarthy, seconded by trustee Fruzzoloni. Clerk, call the roll, please.
Trustee Berger.
Aye.
Trustee Garvey.
Aye.
Trustee Zalick.
Aye.
Trustee Giesers.
Aye.
Trustee Fruzzoloni.
Aye.
Trustee McCarthy.
Aye.
Is there a motion to approve but not release executive session minutes of our February 6, 2023 Village Board meeting?
So moved. Second.
Moved by trustee Zalick, seconded by trustee Giesers. Clerk, call the roll, please.
Trustee Berger.
Aye.
Trustee Garvey.
Aye.
Trustee Zalick.
Aye.
Trustee Giesers.
Aye.
Trustee Fruzzoloni.
Aye.
Trustee McCarthy.
Aye.
Is there a motion to approve the minutes of our February 6, 2023 special workshop meeting?
So moved. Second.
Who moved?
Say, you can do Berger.
Moved by trustee Berger,
Now we moved a
seconded
little
by
bit.
trustee Garvey. Clerk, call the roll, please.
Trustee Berger.
Aye.
Trustee Garvey.
Aye.
Trustee Zalick.
Aye.
Trustee Giesers.
Aye.
Trustee Fruzzoloni.
Aye.
Trustee McCarthy.
Aye.
You gonna give me a couple of minutes? Yeah, just a couple minutes. No, please stay here, please stay here. Thank you, sir. I apologize if that was rude, Mayor. Good evening, Mayor and village trustees. I'm happy to stand before you tonight to introduce you to a new police officer. You might recall that a couple of years ago, the board approved new Fire and Police Commission rules which allowed for the hiring of lateral transfer candidates. This allows us to hire certified police officers bypassing the police academy and going straight into the field training process. The gentleman standing to my right is our newest officer who is a result of that process. This is Justin Wells. Justin comes to us from the Metro Nashville Police Department, which is just a little bit bigger than we are, about 1,200? 1,200 officers?
Something like that.
I'm sure many of you are thinking, why would Mr. Wells leave the state of Tennessee to come to Chicago? And many of the guys back there, I think, have asked the same question. And really, the answer is family, which makes him just the kind of guy that we want. Justin was born in St. Louis, and trustee Zalick, although I haven't asked him, I think it might make him a Cardinal fan.
Okay with that.
I'm okay with that.
I'm not.
He grew up in southern Illinois and Kentucky before he found his way to Tennessee and joined the Metro Nashville PD. He's also a member of the Illinois Air National Guard out of the Scott Air Force Base. He's joined here tonight to be sworn in by his wife Natalie and his mother-in-law Renee. At this time, if Natalie would come up and pin his star on him, and then I'll ask the mayor to come up and swear him in.
Natalie, you're not supposed to stab him with it, just to let you know. But if you do, we'll giggle a little bit. Could always use the entertainment. I don't have a good one.
Yeah, I don't have to either.
As long as it doesn't fall off.
Yeah. Oh, it's going well.
Thank you. All right.
Raise your right hand and repeat after me. I state your name.
I, Justin A. Wells,
Do solemnly solemnly swear that I will support the Constitution of the United States of America,
Do solemnly swear that I will support the Constitution of the United States of America,
the Constitution and laws of the state of Illinois,
the Constitution and laws of the state of Illinois,
and the ordinances of the village of Carroll Stream,
and the ordinances of the village of Carroll Stream,
and I will faithfully discharge,
and that I will faithfully
to
discharge,
the best of my ability,
to the best of my ability,
the duties of police officer in the village of Carroll Stream,
the duties of police officer in the village of Carroll Stream, Illinois.
dated at Carroll Stream, the 21st day of February, 2023. Justin Wells, congratulations and welcome. Chief, the next guy you hire, make him under like 5'7".
Go Cards. Go Cardinals.
Congratulations.
Say a few words.
Yeah. Hey, Justin, hey, Justin. Hey, come up and introduce yourself a little bit.
Didn't they tell you you have to do a 20-minute presentation to the board?
5.
I'm not that interested.
Gotta go to speaker.
Microphone.
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 Trained observer.
All right. What do you guys want to know?
Justin, what you need to do is let him touch your arm. It's like steel. Oh, my God.
I don't know about that. But, yeah, I'm Justin Wells, from St. Louis originally. Met my wife, moved to Tennessee, became a cop, and we're expecting a baby May 1st, and that's why we moved back here to Illinois to be with family.
Your first?
First one.
We're at in Illinois.
Oswego.
Okay, not too far.
Yeah.
How long do you live in St. Louis?
I grew up there most of my whole life, and then went to Illinois for a little bit, then Kentucky, and then back to St. Louis, and then Tennessee. Now here.
Nice.
Yep.
Well, welcome aboard.
Thank you.
We have something in common. My father was born in St. Louis.
Nice.
Yeah, it's a great town.
Yeah.
I hang out a few hours southwest of there.
Where's that at?
Lake Ozark.
Good place to be.
Thank you and welcome aboard.
Thank you, guys.
Collinsville.
Welcome.
Welcome aboard. Welcome.
Okay, moving right along. Any addresses from the audience? We have anybody that fill out paperwork to talk tonight? Nothing? Nothing on the internet? We already checked the basket, so we'll get right into the meeting. Our motion to establish a consent agenda.
So moved?
Second?
Moved by trustee McCarthy, seconded by trustee Geezer. Clerk, call the roll, please.
Trustee Berger.
Aye.
Trustee Garvey.
Aye.
Trustee Zalick.
Aye.
Trustee Geezer.
Aye.
Trustee Fruzaloni.
Aye.
Trustee McCarthy.
Aye.
Madam Clerk, would you please read what is on the consent agenda?
Certainly. Board and Commission reports. Plan Commission Zoning Board of Appeals. Siva Logistics 195 East Elk Trail. Variation to allow a fence in the front yard. Recommended approval subject to conditions 5-0.
Yes.
Yes.
Omni Cable 550 Center Avenue. Amendment to a special use permit for outdoor storage. Recommended approval subject to conditions 5-0.
Yes.
Yes.
SBA Monarch Towers 3 LLC, T-Mobile, 877 to 901 East Geneva Road, height variation for a stealth antenna tower, continued to the March 13th, 2023 meeting, 5-0, no village board action. Village of Carroll Stream, 500 North Gary Avenue, review of 2023 official zoning map, recommended approval 5-0.
Yes.
Yes.
Staff reports and recommendations. Approval of an engineering services agreement with Christopher B. Burke Engineering Limited for construction engineering services for painting and minor repairs to the Grzewski Lane Water Tower at a cost not to exceed $41,760.
Yes.
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 Approval of Amendment Number 7 to the Agreement for Operations, Maintenance, and Management Services of the Water Reclamation Center in the amount of $2,147,249 for the period May 1st, 2023 through April 30th, 2024, and changing required staffing hours to Monday through Friday.
Yes.
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 Approval of an alcohol concession agreement with the Carroll Stream Rotary Club to provide beer, wine, hard seltzer, and hard cranberry lemonade at the upcoming Geek Fest and Taste of Carroll Stream 2023 Summer Concert Series and Fall Fest at the Ross Ferraro Town Center.
Yes.
Yes.
Award of a contract for the purchase of core server equipment with Dell Technologies in the amount of $34,955.34 pursuant to the provisions of Chapter 5, Article 8, Section 5-8-14F of the Carroll Stream Code of Ordinances.
Yes.
Yes.
Ordinances. Ordinance approving a variation to allow a fence in the front yard, Siva Logistics, 195 East Elk Trail.
Yes.
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 That is ordinance number 2023-02-06. Ordinance approving an amendment to a special use permit for outdoor storage, Omni Cable, 550 Center Avenue.
Yes.
Yes.
That is ordinance number 2023-02-07. Resolutions. A resolution in support of tax increment financing. Staff recommends protecting TIF in its current form as a valuable economic development tool without additional restrictions on municipal governments.
Yes.
Yes.
That is resolution.
May I make a comment, though, Mr. Mayor?
Sure.
Mr. Manager, we have successfully utilized TIF districts for many years now. The reason there may be changes is because of other communities throughout the state that have done it improperly, but we've always done it correctly and ended it early in most cases.
We've done it correctly and successfully, and when we've had the opportunity to retire the bonds early, we've done that. Also, the property taxes were frozen at the inception of the TIF, and by the time the TIF was fully realized, the property values have increased, and those taxes have gone to the separate districts, the school districts, the parks, and the library.
And that is resolution number 3296. Resolution authorizing the execution of the official zoning map of the Village of Carroll Stream.
Yes.
Yes.
That is resolution number 3297. New business, Cloverdale Elementary School PTA, approval of a raffle license and waiver of the fee and manager's fidelity bond for their family bingo night, which will include a 50-50 split the pot raffle on March 10th, 2023.
Yes.
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 Payment of bills, regular bills, February 7th, 2023 through February 21st, 2023.
Yes.
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 Addendum warrants, February 7th, 2023 through February 21st, 2023.
Yes.
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 Treasurer's report, revenue, expenditure statements, and balance sheet for the month ended January 31st, 2023.
Received.
And that concludes the items on the consent agenda, Mr. Mayor.
Our motion to put those items on the consent agenda.
So moved.
Second?
Moved by trustee McCarthy, seconded by trustee Frizzaloni. Clerk, call the roll, please.
Trustee Berger.
Aye.
Trustee Garvey.
Aye.
Trustee Zalick.
Aye.
Trustee Giesers.
Aye.
Trustee Frizzaloni.
Aye.
Trustee McCarthy.
Aye.
Our motion to approve those items by omnibus vote.
So moved?
Second.
Moved by trustee Giesers, seconded by trustee Zalick. Clerk, call the roll, please.
Trustee Berger.
Aye.
Trustee Garvey.
Aye.
Trustee Zalick.
Aye.
Trustee Giesers.
Aye.
Trustee Frizzaloni.
Aye.
And Trustee McCarthy.
Aye.
We are going into report officers, and I'm going to change this around tonight because trustee Frizzaloni has approached me and would like to say, I'm sure, a few words of what we think. I think just trustee Frizzaloni is going to go first.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. We started our board meeting tonight with a moment of silence for Officer Dan Staffy. And the reason that I asked to speak is because Dan was a very close friend of mine, and as everyone up here is going to say nice words, I don't know what is going to make me cry, so I don't want to cry on TV right now. Dan was really special, not only to the Carroll Stream Police Department, but to the village of Carroll Stream for a lot of different reasons. He was a lot more than just a police officer. He went well above and beyond the call of duty to really try and help people. I personally know people that he got into treatment programs and probably saved their lives by arresting them. It was not unusual for Dan to make friends with the people that he ultimately arrested and saved. He was very, he believed a lot in everyone has good in them, and he was going to find the best in anybody, and he could bring out the best in anybody. When we got the word that Dan had entered hospice, I had the opportunity to go and spend 2 days with his family, his wife Jen, his son Connor, his son Aaron, his sister Lisa, his sister Laura, and his brother Teddy. And then most of the Carroll Stream Police Department at some point throughout the weekend stopped in to say hi. Trustee Zalick was there. Mayor Savarino stopped over. Sorry, Bob, I completely lost your title. Village manager, Bob Meller stopped over. And a lot of police, from the Illinois State Police to pretty much you name a town, and we probably had a police officer stop by to visit with the family. What I had, though, is I had the opportunity to sit and tell his family stories that they had never heard, because Dan was never the guy to ever go home and brag about himself. I had the very unique opportunity to work with Dan when I worked at the Carroll Stream Park District. We worked many community events together. So whether he was installing car seats for teddy bears to make sure they got home from a picnic safely, to bike helmets, to when he got the rollover demonstrator, that was the very first time he used it was at a Park District event, and it was like his new toy. He was so excited about public education and just getting to talk to people. He loved having kids sit in his squad car and turn on the lights and the sirens and take pictures in the back seat. That was just Dan. So when I say that he was 1 in a million, Dan was 1 in a million. The promise that I made to Dan was that I would make sure that the Carroll Stream Police Department was taken care of. I'm pretty sure that last weekend was able to hug just about everybody. There might be 1 or 2 people that I didn't get a chance to hug, but I wanted to make sure, first and foremost, that everyone was okay. I take that very seriously as a trustee, that these are my people, and I need to take care of them. And I was really trying to be really strong for everyone and get through the wake, get through the funeral. And obviously, when it's somebody that you're very close to, that's impossible to not cry. And what I figured out was that through volunteering with Dan I believe I started volunteering with the drug recognition expert training. I believe it was right after Dan was diagnosed 7 years ago. And over the 7 years, he made sure that I got to know all of the instructors that he was close to, so his friends, his best friends. And that's who I reached out to when I first heard about Dan, to make sure that they had the address, that they were able to go and say their goodbyes. But those were the guys that I turned to, that I knew I didn't have to be strong for, because they were being strong for me. And I realized that Dan put them in my life because he knew that I would be strong for everyone else, and I was going to need people to turn to. And I was not going to put my burden on the Carroll Stream Police, because they already had enough going on. So I really want to thank sincerely some of Dan's very best friends, Ari and Pappas and Carson and Travis and Evan and Tyler and Brooksy and Ikes. Those were his brothers. And each one of them has been incredibly amazing. We've been reaching out to each other and kind of propping each other up. However, the man sitting to my right was my rock. I was not expecting to see Mayor Severino at the funeral because he had some family health issues that he was dealing with. So when I saw the mayor, it brought me to a comforting place, and we stood at the cemetery together, holding on to each other. And Mayor Severino,
Thank you, Mayor.
I can't look at you, I'm sorry. I'm going to start crying. I just want to say thank you so much, because it was a really, really tough day to get through, and you supported me in a way that I didn't know that I was going to need that day. So, and a little bit of a lighthearted side, the grass was really wet and really muddy, and I had heels on, and at one point, one of my heels sunk into the grass, and all I kept thinking was, Dan, please do not let me take the mayor to the ground in this mucky mess. So we did make it through, but at one point, I was feeling like I was going to lose my balance at like any second. So I just wanted to say thank you for being my friend, for being a comfort, and for loving Dan as much as I did.
You're very welcome.
I just want everyone to please, if you could please say a prayer for his family. While his family knew that the day was going to come, there's no way to ever prepare for this. His son Connor just started college, and he's got a very, very bright future. That kid is remarkably smart. He's going to go into biomedical engineering at some point, I believe. Aaron just started high school, and it's a very confusing time for boys this age to lose their dad and then to feel like they have to take care of their mom. They have family in the area, but you know what? It's still not going to be quite the same. So if you could please keep Jen and Connor and Aaron in your prayers, Dan would appreciate that. And then just the last thing I just wanted to say is I stood in awe of everyone with the Carroll Stream Police that came out on Saturday to the funeral. I stood outside the church on the sidewalk, and I just watched all of the police cars going by. And that was just my way of letting them know that I was there and I was trying to be strong for them, and to let them know that they weren't alone in that procession. But that was one of the most beautiful ceremonies that I've seen, and people are estimating that the procession was 3 to 4 miles long, and I believe that. It felt like from church to the cemetery, that the cars just kept coming. And that was really, really great to see. Dan would have hated every second of it, because he would have been like, what's the big deal? I don't know why everyone's making such a big deal. So to the Carroll Stream Police Department, my very deepest sympathies for the amazing friend and colleague that you lost. To all of the police departments and all of wow, Evanston sent 2 motorcycle police officers in the freezing, bitter cold, and those guys were amazing. But every agency that responded and helped in any way, big or small, I don't even know how many honor guards there were, but there was a lot. From closing down street so that the procession could go through safely, to, assisting us when we needed some help, to just being there for the men and women of the Carroll Stream Police Department. All I can say is thank you. I did have the opportunity to see Sheriff Mendrick over the weekend, and I thanked him for DuPage County helping out, because I know that they jumped in to help us, and they sent their officers as well to assist with the funeral. So I just wanted to say thank you very much, and if you could please keep the Staffy family in your prayers. And with that, I'm going to end my report.
Thank you. Thank you for that excellent report, and then you'll go back on the regular schedule.
Yes.
Okay. Trustee Berger.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. And, yeah, I'm not going to try to repeat all of that, but everything that trustee Fruzzoloni said, I absolutely agree with. I obviously didn't know Officer Staffy as well as some of the others did, because I'm newer on the board, but I was there on, well, he did contribute to our Citizens Police Academy when I went through that, and which was so helpful for me. But also, I would just like to offer condolences to his family and to his police family as well. On a happier note, I'd like to congratulate and welcome Justin Wells to the department. And I would like to, just to close out by congratulating everybody involved with the Bags Tournament. I'm sure Matt will have updates. I know there's a lot of people working on it, but getting text messages from Matt from about random topics from various places, and sometimes at his work, where he's trying to hold down a full-time job while he runs a tournament. I think he's running March Madness this year, too. So hopefully he'll, show some mercy for my Boilermakers. But, yeah, the first day was great, second day was great. It's just a smooth operation. My wife and I did participate in the first night, and we're usually 2 and out, only because it's double elimination. But we did manage to squeak out a couple wins. One was against another trustee and their spouse, but I've been asked not to mention her name. So I am honoring her wishes, and I will not say her name.
On her wedding anniversary.
Well, now she outed herself. I didn't say who it was. With that, I will end my report.
Trustee Garvey?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I just want to add my condolences to the family of the officer, but also to the department. I was there Friday night to hear your eulogy, Chief, and also to observe the walkthrough. I had never seen that before, and it was very moving. There had to be hundreds of officers that passed by and saluted, and it was very moving, as were your remarks. So I was honored to be there, and that's the end of my report.
Thank you, Trustee Garvey. Trustee Zalick?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. First off, I would like to welcome Justin Wells aboard to one of the finest police departments in Illinois, and I'm sure he'll do just great. So welcome aboard. Secondly, I'd like to congratulate Phil. I know on your and Jason's efforts towards salt conservation, so thank you very much for making this a better place. Now on to Dan Staffy. I was a training officer back in the day, and Dan was my first trainee. And first day he walked in, he was an experienced, older gentleman, and I'm like, how old are you? And, he said that he was an experienced realtor, and he wanted to be the police. So needless to say, I rolled my eyes. I'm like, oh my God, did he watch an episode of Cops and now he wants to be the cops? So I said, okay, Dan, let's be the police. So, but he always came with the willingness to learn, with a caring attitude. Like Trustee Fruzzoloni said, he cared about everybody. I mean, I almost accepted a ticket from him because he was just so nice. But he turned out to be a great officer, and he's just an even better person. All we can do is learn from him. I have 2 funny stories real quick. One, it must have been his first month on the job, and he was all excited. He took an accident report with very little errors, and he wrote tickets, and he put the ticket book and the clipboard on top of the squad car, and he said, let's bring it into the sergeant's office. So he brought it into the sergeant's office, and we pulled in, and he looked, and I'm like, all right, Dan, let's go. We got to get to the sergeant's office. He wants paper. Let's go. And he's looking for the report, and he's looking for the ticket book, and that look the new officer gives, and he's like, it was on top of the car. So we ran back, and we found everything with tire marks on it. It was classic. It was classic. And he was the only one to lock up my wife. For our 4th of July parade, he needed one female in the DUI float, and I was like, take her. And she's like, what? I'm like, just go. Yeah, so he locked up my wife, so I thank him for that. But I too have been to, sadly, many police in my time, many police funerals. And I don't want to, I'll try to read this quick, but I already told my wife that when I pass, since I was a police officer, I want this read at my funeral. So I don't know if it was read, but it's the final inspection poem. And it's, the policeman stood and faced his God, which must always come to pass. He hoped his shoes were shiny, just as brightly as his brass. Step forward now, policeman, how shall I deal with you? Have you always turned the other cheek? To my church have you been true? The policeman squared his shoulders and said, no, Lord, I guess I ain't, because those of us who carry badges can't always be a saint. I've had to work most Sundays, and at times my talk was rough. And sometimes I've been violent because the streets are awfully tough. I never took a penny that wasn't mine to keep, though I worked a lot of overtime when the bills got just too steep. And I never passed a cry for help, though at times I shook with fear, and sometimes, God forgive me, I've wept unmanly tears. I know I don't deserve a place among the people here. They never wanted me around, except to calm their fear. If you've a place for me here, Lord, it needn't be so grand. I never expected or had too much. But if you don't, I'll understand. There was a silence all around the throne, where the saints had often trod, as the policeman waited quietly for the judgment of his God. Step forward now, policeman. You borne your burdens well. Come walk a beat on heaven's streets. You've done your time in hell. So, God bless Dan and his family, and just keep your thoughts and prayers to the first responders and military. And that concludes my report.
Thank you, Trustee Zalick, from your heart. Those words were from your heart. Trustee Gazer.
Thank you very much, Mr. Mayor. Trustee Frusaloni, Trustee Zalick have been so eloquent. I'd just like to say condolences to the family and friends and coworkers of Officer Staffy. I had the opportunity to take him to a couple interviews on the radio where he shared in plain language his experiences and how he was a drug recognition expert and how it was done, and made it simple for just regular people to know how that operated. So he was a great officer, a good man, a good father, good husband, and we wish him well in the next life. Condolences, as I started off, with the family, friends, and coworkers. And as Trustee Berger said, on a happier news, we have a new officer in Carroll Stream, as you saw. Congratulations to Officer Justin Wells. I'm sure he will do terrific here on this excellent staff, so congratulations to you. And then finally, I just want to say, I attended an event at the Carroll Stream Library for Black History Month that was very inspiring and educational. So thank you to the library for doing that. And hopefully everyone got their punchkis today, here on Fat Tuesday, Punchki Day. And that is my report.
Thank you, Trustee Gazer. Trustee Frusaloni.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Chief, I know I've said this to you a couple of times over the weekend, but I want to thank you for your leadership. I want to thank you for your strength. And I want to thank you for, I don't want to say your dignity, but the way that you treated every single person in your staff was as if they were your best friends. They knew that they could lean on you. And I don't think that we could have gotten through something as emotional without an exceptionally strong leader. I I congratulate your command staff as well. They have done an amazing job. Don, you don't have to make eye contact with me right now. I know JJ was extremely close to Dan, but they did a really good job of touching base with people and checking in with people and making sure that everyone was doing okay. So I hope that as you guys have to return to normal, because today, life goes on, unfortunately, that if you ever need anything, you don't hesitate to ask the board for help. I want to make sure that the police department and social services as well, because they were his friend as well, that you have the tools that you need if you need to bring in outside counselors to help. I know that the comfort dogs were here last week, and I know that that helped a lot at roll call. But if you start to see that you need some extra help, please don't be afraid to ask, because this board wants to make sure that everybody is going to be okay. It's okay to grieve, but if we start to see that some other people need some extra help, will you please reach out to any of us, and we will make sure you have anything at your disposal.
I will, thank you.
And that's all I wanted to say. Thank you,
Thank you,
Mr. Mayor.
Trustee Franzoni. Trustee McCarthy?
To officer staff, his family, his loved ones, his police department family, my heartfelt condolences. I don't quite, I know I don't feel at work like police do. You guys are a family. You guys look out for each other. You guys basically living together, half the time. And I really do want you guys to take care of yourselves and look out for each other as you always do. I thank Dan for his police career spent protecting us. I congratulate him on a life well lived, but I'm angry that it was a life taken too soon. Which is one of the reasons we started doing our bags tournament that got mentioned is half of our proceeds go to American Cancer Society to find a way to solve some of this. So Dan's family, like I said, nothing but love sent to you and my heartfelt sympathies. Welcome aboard, Justin Wells. As you see, you've got a tight-knit group, and they'll look out for you, and you just look out for them.
Take your thing off the roof before driving.
And take your ticket book off the roof before driving away. And then on the better note, bags tournament. It's off to a roaring start. We're 2 nights in, and we had very successful nights both nights. But we were also very lucky for some generous donations from our sponsors. We're through 2 days, and we're just under $21,000 raised. Long way to go where I want to hit, and if we don't, that's okay. But I wanted to hit a goal or make a goal this year that was difficult to hit. I didn't want a canned goal. I wanted one that we had to work for, and if we don't get it, that's all right. We still got something to work for. But we still have 10 more days. We have 8 more adult, and we have 2 kids. Next Thursday, village staff is coming to play. We have at least 19 teams from the village coming to play next Thursday night. And that's pretty exciting because you guys have all kind of jumped in every year. And again, I can't express how thankful we all are as a committee for that kind of support. And so we're excited to see where it leads. Like I said, we got a number of days left, so we can do a lot of good stuff. If you can't make it, you can buy the $5 raffles. You can get a hold of me, you can get a hold of Mary, you can get a hold of Jeff, pretty much any of us. You can look online. I post something about every 3 minutes. So, I mean, pretty sure you can find something on my Facebook page. But we've got 42 unbelievable $5 raffle prizes. You do not need to be present to win. Those will be drawn on finals night, the end of the night on March 15th. So about 3 weeks. So you got plenty of time to buy them. Or just come in and hang out. We do raffle prizes, different raffle prizes every night of the raffle. And just hanging out, having fun. Chrissy's donates 15% of all food and drink that are bought back to our committee. So we have some opportunities. The more people that come, the better opportunity we have of hitting a pretty crazy number. Again, half of it will go to American Cancer Society. The other half will be shared between local charities, and most of them are ones that don't get a lot of publicity and play. And then we'll also be making a donation to each of the food pantries that service Carroll Stream. And I think there's 5 of them, right? I think that was the number. So we're gonna do something there too, because we just like the idea of if we have an opportunity to help somebody just a little bit, instead of just helping one group. So we're trying to share the wealth and continue to make it a bigger community event. And with that, I'll end my report.
Thank you, Trustee McCarthy. I know how much work you put into that, your family, your friends, and I can't tell you how much, as the mayor, how much I appreciate that. Thank you. Clerk Swarzy?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. So everybody has said such touching things about Officer Staffy. I did not know him well. My daughter and I met him at the Citizens Police Academy, like Trustee Berger, at an earlier one, and I just remember he had so much enthusiasm. He was just such a giving person. And I would like to read a little poem that someone gave to me when my dad passed away, and it seems to sum up Officer Staffy. It is, "A life well lived is simply this, one that adds to the beauty, the goodness, and the love in the world." And that's how I think of Officer Staffy, especially after everybody has paid their tributes to him. So my deepest condolences to his family, his friends, his colleagues, anybody who knew and loved him, my deepest condolences. Also, just on a lighter note, also I wanted to congratulate Officer Wells for joining the team. He seems like a great guy. I love to see the young family here, and I wish him all the best. And congratulations also to our Carroll Stream environmentalist, Jan Smith, who just received the Conservation at Home Award. Along with Public Works, I want to congratulate you again, because that 2023 Salt Smart Award is a pretty big deal. So just great to see Carroll Stream representing the environmental awareness that we have. And a reminder that early voting starts this Thursday at the DuPage County Fairgrounds, Monday through Friday, 8 to 4:30, Saturday, 9 to 12. And then on March 18th, additional early voting locations will open up all over DuPage County. And last but not least, I just wanted to remind people that shopping local is important not only to support our local businesses, but also because it generates really important sales tax revenue that we use to operate our village to keep property taxes low. So on that note, I just want to remind everyone to please shop and dine Carroll Stream.
Thank you very much. So, Mr. Rhodes, our village attorney's not here. Do you have anything you'd like to say? You're not even going to wish their new police officer congratulations? Because I have to report to your boss what, so. Okay, no. I'll tell him I said so. I'm joking. Thank you. Thank you for being with us tonight.
Thank you.
Our village manager, Mr. Meller.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I've seen a lot of employees come and go in my little over 38 years with the village, and a lot of them made a big impression on me during my time here. We still have a lot of great officers that distinguish themselves in their jobs, in their specialties. But I think Dan Staffy was a shining example of what a police officer should be in his dedication to his trade. Like some of the trustees already mentioned, he didn't look at people as offenders or criminals, even though he had to pull them over and sometimes arrest them, but he was always willing to help people. I think that made him stand out, as well as some of our other officers, in terms of being a public servant, and not some of the bad examples that we see in some other police departments in other states. So my condolences to the Staffy family. Met his family on the Saturday that we were all there, and they were very gracious in allowing many people to come in and pay their last respects and see him before he eventually passed away. And that's not an easy thing for the family to do. But we're all very grateful that they allowed us to do that. It was also mentioned by trustee Zalig and the village clerk about our salt conservation efforts. Carroll Stream also is very active in energy conservation. In 2022, Carroll Stream received the gold designation from Soul Smart, which was given to us by Argonne National Laboratories, recognition of community development's proficiency in processing building permit applications for solar panels and commitment to our energy conservation and the reduction in the negative effects of fossil fuels. And I had asked our Community Development Director, Don Bastian, how many solar panel permits we've issued, and we're approaching 300 permits for solar panels. And as I walk through the community at my noontime walk, I see more and more solar panels on houses. So people are really getting into that and saving on their energy bills and reducing the carbon footprint. Also, this past December, we announced participation in the new EV Readiness Program, which is electric vehicles, to help local governments meet the growing demand for electric vehicles and charging infrastructure. The Metropolitan Mayor's Caucus and ComEd announced 16 Illinois communities, including Carroll Stream, will receive training and assistance. And this is funded in part with a $225,000 commitment from ComEd. The EV Readiness Program will help communities streamline policies and implement best practices for safe and effective regional transportation electrification. Electric vehicles are expected to account for 50% of auto sales by 2030. So one of the big concerns that a lot of people have about purchasing electric vehicles is the limited range that they have and where are they going to be able to charge. So that is one of the goals of this program, and we're proud to be a member on the forefront of that. That's all I have.
Thank you, Mr. Miller. Congratulations, Officer Justin Wells. Welcome aboard. I had the privilege of swearing him in tonight, and I'm sure that he'll be a great officer as long as he follows the lead of our present staff. Chief, great job. I said tonight when I saw you, I will never, ever forget the wake. Never. The funeral, never. I'll never forget that day. Trustee Fruzzoloni touched on it. I knew it was going to get bad when they started to put him in the ground. I've been to so many funerals. Everybody holds it together pretty much till that last thing when the flags are being done and the family's all there, and I know exactly when the heel went into the ground. I had her on one arm and my grandson on the other arm, and I did everything I could do to hold it together because he was crying and she was crying, and I'm thinking, I can't cry because I'm holding him up on, he's bigger than me, I'm holding him up on one side and her on the other. The love that I saw that day and the feelings for our police officers together is, I can't even put it into words. I mean, I've been to so many funerals and wakes, I've never seen anything like it. I'll never forget I don't even know how many police cars were in there. Trustee Fruzzoloni said 3 or 4 miles. We must have drove for like 35, 40 minutes to get where we were going. And you couldn't see the end of the lights behind us. It was absolutely amazing. The Staffy family, I got to see him before he passed. I'm not sure that he really knew that I was in the room. I kneeled by his bed and prayed for him because I owe him something that I probably couldn't do myself, and that was my grandson. To my grandson, Staffy is a superhero and was a superhero. He talked him in to going back to college and to doing the things that he should be doing, and he took them and put them under his wing like he was his own. And when you go back and I look at Facebook, all the stuff that people posted, I don't know anybody that I've ever met that many people had that many good things to say about. I mean, I could not even begin to believe the people you work with usually, he never worried about himself. He always worried about everybody else. He always gave everybody else the credit. He always did. I mean, the things that were said were you're thinking, how could anybody be that good? Then you say, I want to be that good, but I don't know if I could ever be that good. So to Dan Staffy and his family, God bless you, you're up in heaven with my son Dominic, and that was the last thing I asked him, to visit my son in heaven. And my grandson, I don't know if he'll ever be the same. He's changed his life for the better, and I appreciate that more than I could even say. So it was just a weekend to probably never forget. I apologize to the chief about not making the wake. I had a piece to read, and my grandson had an accident, and he was in the hospital, and I went to visit him and hoped to spend an hour and spend 4.5 hours with him with the brain bleed, and he's going to be okay. But I couldn't leave him. I could not leave him. So it's always me, family first. But I felt like I was letting my family down, my blue family, and I thank you. Because anybody that knows me knows how I feel about our police department. I want everybody in this town to feel safe, and yous do that for them. You know, and the stories about Dan where he'd give you a ticket and then he'd tell you where to go to get straightened out if it was a DUI, we can't forget that. This police department is special. Then you look at the awards we get. Our public works is special. The finance department is special. We planted more trees than anybody else. I mean, you look at the awards, and Bob just started going through them, and it's like, it's amazing. But you know what? That's what you get when everybody works together, and you get a lot of things done. I can just feel that difference all the time, which is a good thing. It's good for the people that live in this town, it's good for the businesses that are in this town, and it's good for all of us that make the rules and regulations to go along with them, and we live with our own rules and regulations. So, again, Chief, thank you. It was a special day for me that I'll never forget the rest of my life. And my grandson and Mary, thank you for being there for me as strong as you think I was for you. You were right there with me. We are going to go in, we're not going to go into closed session. We're just going to talk about our budget.
Do we have to, so we have to adjourn from this meeting?
We will adjourn from this meeting, and anybody that wants to stay and go through the budget with us, which we don't even want to do, but you can stay in. So is there a motion?
Motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Moved by trustee
For second.
McCarthy, seconded by trustee Fruzzaloni. Clerk, call the roll, please.
Trustee Berger.
Aye.
Trustee Garvey.
Aye.
Trustee Zalick.
Aye.
Trustee Giesers.
Aye.
Trustee Fruzzaloni.
Aye.
Trustee McCarthy.
Aye.
Thank you. Meeting's adjourned. We will start the other meeting in a few minutes.